Hi, welcome to the Histrology Show. I am your host and novice historian, Gwen.
And I'm Lindsay Roth. I am a licensed therapist and unlicensed astrologer.
Quick note before we get started, this is meant to be a very casual conversation about these two topics, history and astrology. So if you're someone who takes either of them very seriously, this might not be the show for you.
Thanks, Gwen. Indeed, there are limits to the observable universe, and nothing's real.
And with that, let's get started. Today, we are talking about our second political icon, female. She was a housewife who turned into a political leader. She was deemed the mother of democracy in the Philippines, which is a pretty big title to uphold. And we're going to get into that story today. We are talking about none other than Corazon Aquino. Now, this is a tough episode. I'm not going to lie. We're going to just be upfront right up top here. Doing research for Corazon was very difficult. It was hard to learn about her personally. So I think this episode will be a lot more about context, the Philippines in general, some bigger topics, and less about her personality-wise. Is that cool on the astrology end?
It is. And I mean, I think we can explore why there might be astrological reasons for that.
Okay.
Yeah, like why she's just like not as like schnazzy as a Machiavelli or a
Yeah.
Nelson Mandela. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Oh, yeah, we've done quite a few political leaders.
We have,
She's just our
yeah.
second lady.
Second lady.
Yeah.
Is she your first Aquarius?
I believe so.
I think that's why we can't pin her down. With all due respect to Aquarii, because I'm amongst them.
You're in good company.
And I wanted to make this joke. A group of air signs is called a podcast.
Yes, that's it. That's hilarious. Oh my gosh. Okay, so before we even jump into her story, like, do you want to do her big three first? Or
Sure.
Okay, because she was born on January 25th, 1933 in Paniqui, Tarlac. I'm not sure what time. Do you know what time?
We do know what time. It was 9:45 p.m.
Okay, so that makes her big three.
So she's a Libra rising, and her sun is in Aquarius, and her moon is in Capricorn.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Two airs and an earth.
Yes. Yeah, and a very late degree of Capricorn too, right? So almost a new moon, but not quite.
Got it. Well, before we really dive into Corazon, or Corey is what she's known as, not to Americanize her, but Corey's cute, I think, for my lady. I'm gonna do like a very brief history of the Philippines.
Yeah.
Brief. You know, it's brief because I'm trying to sum up the history of an entire civilization and place, but maybe longer than we usually go into context-wise about the specific place.
Yeah.
So the Philippines, or Mai, is an archipelago with over 7,000 islands, southeast of China and northeast of Indonesia. People started settling there around 60,000 years ago. So around 3000 BCE, migrants, also known as Austronesians, sailed from places like Taiwan, and they were really strong sailors and sea people, much like Hawaii. And so they brought with them agriculture, fishing, and of course their own culture. The islands were a part of the Maritime Jade Road, and they were trading gold, iron, copper. That's what the islands were able to produce, and they were receiving a lot of jade and just knowledge from other places. I love jade.
At the Jade Road.
Yeah. You know, the Jade Road does make it sound very, like, I don't know, mysterious and alluring.
Yeah, exactly. We're already orientalizing. Look
Exactly.
At us, we're the worst.
I know, but jade is so cute.
It's beautiful. Yeah.
You're right, we're the worst. Sorry, forgive me. There was no big empires, right? Just smaller communities spread out across this archipelago,
Right, like
across all the
reunification.
islands. I mean, it's hard to imagine unification across so many islands.
No, and that's such a modern times thing. This idea that there has to be a nation or some sort of empire. Yeah.
Yep. So written history showed up around 900 CE, and the islands had peaceful and organized societies called barangays, which each had their own influences and cultures depending on kind of where trade was happening and where people were coming from, right? So there's India influences happening, there's Chinese influences happening, so there Indonesia, there's a little bit of everything. And so it kind of depends on who landed where,
Mm-hmm.
what cultures were being created and
Yeah.
cultivated.
And then they're so isolated from each other.
Yeah, I believe so. I think some of them are probably pretty close, but like the northern part and the southern part would be entirely different.
Yeah.
Entirely different cultures. Eventually, they did morph into about 3 dominant city-states by the 1300s. But this is a very, like, I'm condensing a lot of history into a short amount of time, so keep that in mind. This is when Islam showed up around the islands. Before that, Hinduism and Buddhism had traveled there from India and from China. And so at this point, that means that Buddhism has a big influence, Hinduism has a big influence, and now Islam in the 1300s is starting to have a big influence. But it's around 1521 that the Spanish showed up, and we always know that that's not great, maybe.
Historically, no.
Historically not great.
Yeah.
And they brought with them Roman Catholicism.
Okay. And probably lots of disease.
Probably. Yeah, exactly. But 80% of the population in the Philippines today is still practicing Roman Catholic.
Roman Catholic. Yeah.
So that left a pretty big influence.
Of all of them. Sure did.
80%. Right. I know
80%.
there's this rich history of all of these other religions, but Catholicism, they really did a number.
Really wants to monopolize that one.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
does. Yeah, totally. God forbid there's anything else going on. So the people of the Philippines, right? The Philippines, by the way, were named after King Philip II of Spain, right? So
Was he like the really gross one?
I don't know.
Okay.
You can look him up
Yeah,
if
I
you
think he was
want.
very tortury.
I'm sure
Yeah.
he was. That's, and somebody who just wants to take over all these places, it's questionable
It's true.
what's happening, but
Yeah.
so it's already like annoying that we have to call the Philippines
That's
this whole
true,
time.
Yeah.
But it was hard to even talk about like what's a name before the Philippines because it is such a spread out culture and
Yeah,
it's so
it's
separate.
many.
So many, exactly,
Yeah.
many different names. I heard Ma'i, right, as
Mhm.
a potential one, but it's the Philippines. It's named after King Philip II, and the people who live there are able to fight them off a little bit, but not really. The Spanish were able to establish rule, and that rule lasted for over 300 years. And so, by the late 1800s, there were Filipino revolutionaries who were really close to defeating the Spanish, right? So the Spanish have been in power in the Philippines for over 300 years. There are Filipino revolutionaries who are sick of it and tired and want independence and want to live their own lives. And they are revolting against the Spanish. And the Spanish are starting to get nervous. They're like, oh, we're gonna, like, Spain had fallen, right? Like Spain had this great era of like expanding and they were the most powerful military for a really long time in the world and all this stuff. So that was in decline, right? They were on a downswing. Empires decline. It's part of what happens. And so the Filipinos were fighting back and the Spanish were getting really nervous. And it just so happened at this time that America turned their eyes towards the Philippines and thought, well, this is an interesting situation. Maybe we can get involved here because there's potentially a lot of capital that can be generated via the Philippines. And so there's the Spanish American War, and as a result of that, Spain kind of handed over the Philippines to America.
Oh.
They actually staged a fake battle to make it seem like America defeated the Spanish and took over the Philippines, but really the Spanish and America were in cahoots. And the Spanish were like, we'd rather hand the Philippines over to you than to lose to the Filipino revolutionaries.
Right.
So they were able to save face.
Yes. And maintain this Western supremacy.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, from what I saw online, they literally were like, we would rather lose to a white person than to the Filipino revolutionaries. So we would happily make a deal with you. We can do a fake battle to make it seem like you defeated us, and you can just have the Philippines.
What is it, a moon landing? That's like, we had already discussed that. To quote Frank Zappa, politics is the entertainment arm of the military-industrial complex. So I didn't realize they're
No,
LARPing.
literally.
Yeah.
No, literally. Yeah, and that LARPing. They're LARPing. That is such a beautiful quote. I'm
Yes.
obsessed with that
Yeah.
idea. That's exactly what's happening. They're faking it. It's fake. It's a theater
It's a
that they're playing
theater.
out.
What a fun alternate timeline to consider if Filipino revolutionaries won.
I know.
So many things.
They were probably so cool.
Yeah.
Just the words Filipino revolutionaries. I'm like, oh, man.
Yeah.
Brings images to mind. They're probably pretty cool.
Yeah, the power structures are so wise to like support themselves.
Yes.
To make sure they keep up whatever that shit is.
Appearances.
Yeah.
Strictly just appearances.
Yeah.
So the Philippines became a U.S. territory in 1898.
Okay.
Now, this led to a war that you might know nothing about, or maybe have even heard of, which is the Philippine-American War.
Never heard of it.
Literally, 1899. So it's a year later. Of course, the Filipino revolutionaries are like,
fuck this.
we don't want oppressors.
Yeah.
We don't want people here telling us how to live our lives and what to do. And it broke out in a war. It was kind of a gnarly war. America won. But it was kind of just like an American territory, of course, and America was half involved. I mean, they're pretty much just setting themselves up for economic development in the area, right?
Yeah.
It's not like they're trying to make it a part of the union. They don't want to give Filipinos rights to anything that Americans have. It's strictly strategic, military, and economic wise.
Yeah, they want to just come and go as they please without being beholden to the citizens there, which is what territories are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it was World War II. Japan actually occupied the Philippines for a while, and this was another America, the United States, the ever opportunists that they are, said, oh, now we can go liberate the Philippines, the people of the Philippines, and grant them democracy and independence. But again, it was just very opportunistic. We love a media spin, a good media spin or a good PR of we're not doing this country any favors. They've wanted independence forever. We haven't given it to them, but now we're going to act like, oh, we're going to go free these people from their oppressors.
Save us from our saviors.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, no one needs. So funny that we like allow ourselves to be told democracy needs to be like spread.
Right, or like enforced.
It's supposed to come from the people.
Exactly, right. It's like really counterintuitive just
Yeah.
in its nature. Like the fact that you feel like you have to like strong arm democracy
Yeah.
into other cultures.
Because you usually do it through like war and corruption. But we really buy that line.
We love it. Oh, we have to liberate these people.
Yeah.
The U.S. military has been using that line for many, many years.
Using it in Iran right now.
Yep, literally still using it.
Yep.
So
and people are like, thank God for our troops.
You think there are? I guess there are still people who
There
think that they're heroes or something, but it's all bullshit.
Yes, it's like thinking the stripper really likes you.
Exactly. You're being lied to.
Yep.
It's all bullshit and it's bad for you, to quote George Carlin.
Mhm.
Anyway, I told you this is going to be a hard episode. It's kind of depressing.
Yeah.
Anyway, in 1945, the Philippines were able to establish an independent republic. The economy, of course, was still heavily reliant on the United States. The first president was elected in 1946, and there were some attempts at communism, which, of course, got squashed in the 50s. And Ferdinand Marcos took power in 1965, and that is a huge part of our story. So that's where I'm going to end with the history of the Philippines. Ferdinand Marcos. Remember that name. It's very important. We'll get back to it. So now I'm going to jump into our girl.
Okay.
Corazon Aquino.
Yeah.
So she was born into a very wealthy and prominent family that migrated to the Philippines in the late 1800s. And her family were big players in two very red flag industries.
Okay.
Banks and sugar.
Oh.
Classic.
Yeah. And so they migrated from Spain?
No, I believe China.
China. Okay.
I believe China.
Okay.
But don't quote me on that.
Mhm.
But I believe so. But they, had money and they were in these industries that, as we know, are not always the nicest to regular people.
Mhm.
They eventually made their way into politics. And so, with this history, it's not surprising that Corazon would be tied into politics in some way. Her family, none of her family was ever the president, but like just like
Yeah.
local politics happening on a smaller scale, they were involved in that. So, politics weren't entirely new to Corazon.
Yeah. Yes.
She's part of a legacy family, I guess, is what I would
Yeah.
say. And we have political legacy
Hmm.
families in the United States. The Philippines also has some major legacy families, especially when it comes to politics, but also, of course, when it comes to industry. And it's most definitely an oligarchy. Like,
Yeah, that's
small number of families own a lot of what's
yeah.
happening there.
So they get political to maintain that
Exactly.
through all their tricks. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. It's like when you're a big business owner, you get involved in politics to, yeah, keep a hold of
Keep
things.
tariffs or whatever they need to do. Yeah, make
Exactly.
sure living wages don't change. And we were so excited to do a female president, but we're so bummed.
Yeah. It can't be
We
like,
fell for her like we fell for Hillary Clinton.
I was like, this is going to be so cool. She's an Asian president, girl president. Like, this is going to be awesome. And I slowly slipped into depression.
Yeah,
The more and more I read, I was just like, no.
because we thought she was revolutionary. And we're like, we need one of those right now.
We could
but-
really use it. Yeah. And I think that this is an interesting story to do right now. Although we don't know much about her as a person, there's
Mhm.
truly only like a handful of little tidbits in terms of her personality.
Mhm.
Her whole story and how she gets involved in politics and what she comes to symbolize is important for us to examine because we could potentially fall into similar traps
Mhm.
of maybe identity politics or what happens after a dictator. So not to spoil the story,
Yeah.
but Ferdinand Marcos is a dictator, and that's why that name is important. And
Mhm.
so we're on our way there, but
Mhm.
we can already see early on in life that like a political involvement with her family is already established. So
Mhm.
it shouldn't be too surprising that her life leads that way. She
Hmm.
was the sixth of 8 children, but 2 of them died young, so she grew up with 5 siblings. And I just really like could not find much about her early life or childhood at all. I
Hmm.
wish that I could. I love hearing about what kids are like and people are like when they're young.
Yeah, their hobbies or
Yeah.
yeah.
So we don't
Hmm.
really know much, but we do know that she came from a wealthy family, so she was probably given many privileges in order to succeed in life. And she did well at them. So in grade school, she was valedictorian.
Okay.
So there's that. She was really studious. For high school, her family moved to the United States, where she eventually graduated from Notre Dame Convent School in New York City in 1949. There's one detail just about her life in America that I thought was interesting, and that is during her time in New York, she actually was a volunteer for the Republican presidential candidate Thomas Dewey,
Hmm.
who ended up losing to Harry Truman.
Hmm.
But Dewey was the mayor, I guess, of New York City, and he was known for typical Republican things that you would expect. So lowering taxes, fighting crime, like cracking down on crime. And they were really concerned about communism, of course,
Mhm.
rising up.
Mhm.
So it's a lot of what we see today still Republicans being concerned about, and she was aligned with that. She went to college at Mount St. Vincent in New York and graduated in 1953 with a degree in French and a minor in mathematics.
Huh.
When you have money, I guess you can major in French.
Yeah.
So majoring in French was probably great.
I feel like it's like bougie.
It's a
Like
bougie
it was like very
major.
in. Yeah.
It has to be.
French.
Like, the Philippines were a Spanish colony,
Yeah.
so why are you learning French? But I guess
To go to Paris.
to go to I mean, I took French.
I did too.
Relatable. I also want to speak French. Anyway, that same year she went back to the Philippines to study law at Far Eastern University, and it's there that she met Benigno, or Ninoy Aquino Jr. She gave up her education and married Ninoy on October 11th, 1954.
Saturn return.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just so many marriages happen around that time.
28? 27?
27. Yeah.
27, yeah. Okay.
Classic.
She became a housewife and started having kiddos right away. She would have 5 in total. And around this time, this isn't really important to her story, but they did move to a very rural place, Concepcion Tarlac, in 1955. And this was a really hard adjustment for her. It was more rural, and she
Mhm.
was often bored. I think that gives us a little clue into her personality as well.
Yeah, going
Somebody
from New
who,
York.
well,
Yeah.
yeah, she had already been in New York, for example, and she grew up with a certain level of wealth and class. So moving to a rural place where there's probably not much in the way of culture or things to do,
Mm.
I think she probably didn't have a great time. She's a little bored. She's a housewife, so she's like with her kiddos all the time.
Mhm. Hardly a face to see.
Yeah. Oh,
Machiavelli.
without any human
Without
face.
any human face, just her children.
Just her family.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wish we knew more about her personally, but there's just not much there except these little tidbits of campaigning for the Republican Party, maybe being a little bored in a rural town. She was a very devoted wife, mother, and Catholic.
Hmm.
So there's just not much to say in terms of what her hobbies were or what her hopes and dreams were or what she wanted or
She has this stellium, right? So that's when there's like a cluster of planets, like,
Mhm.
and it's like personal planets. So this is Mars and then outer planets, and her south node. And so they're all in the 12th house, right? That we call it the final house, the house of like self undoing.
Mm.
So it's kind of like usually exiled parts of our persona. And then it's Virgo. So there's like, I get like a lot of like restraint, she was probably very poised.
That's a great word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so like, yeah, like I think being a Catholic probably was like she was okay with some sacrifice because I think she
Yeah.
pretty much likes order.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a really good assessment. Yeah.
So she was well cast for this very public role that
Yeah.
she played as a player. It's so hard to read a chart of someone you're hostile towards.
Right. Lindsay's disappointed, and so am I. But there is good news. It's not all bad. It's just that we had such high hopes and we're so optimistic.
Don't hate the player, hate the game, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. It's an oligarchy. What are you going to do? So in 1965, a man named Ferdinand Marcos, remember, I said remember him, becomes president of the Philippines. And he runs under the campaign slogan, I shit you not, this country can be great again.
Again and again.
This country can be great again.
What year was that? Sorry.
That was in 1965.
Hmm.
Ugh.
We love that one.
By his second term, his opponent said that he was already using intimidation and violence to win his elections.
Okay.
But there were a lot of problems, of course. So there was a lot of protests and things became very violent. And in 1972, he started calling everybody a communist and declared martial law so that he could remain the president.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
It's just kind of just depressing how uninspired it all is. Like,
Yeah, and there's this weird element of affluence, like showing off affluence,
Mm.
that it's very French Revolution-esque. It's somebody who
Mm.
who manipulated the situation. He changed actually, I'm just remembering this. So he changed his political party so that he could win.
Oh, interesting.
Just like Trump did. He literally
Oh,
changed his
yes.
political affiliations because he knew he could actually win under that one. Literally just giving lip service to everybody.
Okay.
Literally.
Yeah.
And he gets into power and he's just using the country's funds as a personal piggy bank. They're spending so much money, calling everyone a communist, throwing people in jail, anybody else. And so actually, Ninoy,
Mm-hmm.
our girl's husband, gets thrown in jail. He becomes imprisoned because he's one of the leading people speaking out against Marcos and what he's doing. And so he was his biggest rival, political rival. And so he becomes imprisoned. It's just crazy. Marcos is in power for about 20 years. Under his authoritarian rule, 70,000 people were jailed without trial. 35,000 people were tortured. 3,200 people were executed. So this is just somebody who's just running amok. It's just
Yeah.
havoc. It's just chaos and doing
Yeah.
whatever he needs to do to stay in power.
Yeah,
He's
just
just a
creating
tyrant.
fear. Yeah.
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 Just so that his wife could have 1,000,000 pairs of shoes. Like, and that's you can watch videos. It's like MTV Cribs where they're walking
Okay.
through and she's showing off her 2,000 pairs of shoes.
Mhm.
And it's just like so infuriating.
Yeah. It's so, I mean, obviously they're using like tyranny, but I think like even like the way we have come to know Donald Trump, there's a part of like people that maybe see hope in someone so wealthy,
I guess
like
they
how
think
they get
something to
populist
aspire
support.
to.
Yeah, it's so
Mm,
interesting. That is part of the spectacle of capitalism,
right.
that like wealth needs to be displayed as some sort of beacon of hope. Or
Yes.
we all get some sort of like compersion from it,
Right.
like yeah.
I guess so. It's very frustrating to see. Yeah, over the years, the Marcos family spent $5 billion of public money, and this is in the 80s,
Hmm.
so it's
Okay.
a lot of money.
65 is also a wood snake year, like last year.
1965.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's when he
Yeah.
was like actually democratically elected,
Oh, okay. And
right?
then it
And
just
then he served. I guess I don't know how long I think it's about 5 years the president is allowed to serve, and
okay.
then his second term he was using intimidation and violence. And then
Okay.
at the end of that, that's when he declared martial
Martial law.
law.
Okay. Preview of coming attractions.
I know. Something to look forward to. We can be prepared.
Guys, stop being afraid of communism, all
Don't.
right? Whatever they do, it's much worse.
Yeah, literally what you're afraid of is what the capitalists do.
Yeah, exactly. But
That's
we're like, not communism. Wait, healthcare for everyone?
yeah.
Let's imprison people instead
Yeah.
out of suspicion of their belief system.
Oh, well, if everybody has all of the resources, then there's no way to capitalize on them.
That's true. No one can get that many pairs of shoes.
So, what does all of this have to do with Corazon?
Yes,
Well,
right.
like I said, her husband Hanoi was Marcos's biggest political rival, and he actually gets jailed in 1978. And Corazon, was not actively involved in politics, but she did really support her husband emotionally and financially. She used some of her inheritance to fund his campaigns and was
Okay.
always supporting him from the background, from backstage. She didn't really want to be a political figure, but when he was jailed, she did give her first political speech, speaking
Okay.
out against Marcos. And it was also during that time that Corazon stopped going to beauty salons, stopped buying new clothes, and she actually prohibited her children from going to any parties,
Mm.
all in protest of her husband being thrown in jail.
Oh my gosh, there's some interesting family drama that I would love to know about.
I know.
Was there like a Hunter Biden amongst them? Because again, I think that was probably like, that's very savvy, and I think it was probably easy for her to do. You
Probably, yeah.
know,
Yeah, I think so
like
too.
she could, yeah, there's like this self, and this is very common with Virgo South nodes, is like this self-sacrifice. Um, yeah,
And she has the Catholic thing going on too, right?
perfect.
It's a
Yeah.
perfect storm.
Yeah, and like the kind of evolutionary pull is like away from that to embrace more of the numinous and complex, like more Piscean themes. But Law and Order probably feels pretty good to a gal like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, I guess she's
especially when you're benefiting from it too.
exactly. She's been given a lot of privileges.
Yeah,
So why wouldn't
exactly.
she want that system to stay in place?
Yeah.
In 1980, Ninoy suffered a heart attack, and the family was able to seek exile in the United States.
Hmm.
And on August 12th, 1983, after like about, I think, 7 years of imprisonment, almost 8 years of imprisonment, he decided he was going to go back to the Philippines
Hmm.
and face Marcos. And he was murdered immediately upon exiting the airplane. On the tarmac, he was shot dead.
Hmm.
So we can imagine that this was awful for
Mhm.
Corazon. She stated the 3 years that they were in exile in the United States as the best years of her and her husband's life together.
Oh.
So they were able to have a nice time away from the drama of what was happening. But her husband was really adamant about his political stances, I guess, or just like
Hmm.
what he felt like needed to happen. He was very adamant about it and he wanted to die for his country. He had said he wanted to die for the
Okay.
Philippines, and that's what happened.
He's a
So,
Sag.
he's a Sag.
Leo rising, and then yeah, a Scorpio moon.
Mm,
Hmm.
passionate.
Yeah, passionate. Yeah, but like out lots of fire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it didn't end up well for him, and then didn't end up well for him. But Corazon after this went back to the Philippines, and many, many, many people attended Ninoy's funeral. And it was during this time that she kind of becomes a martyr and is upheld as the
Mm.
political resistance of Marcos.
Mhm.
Even though that was her husband's role, because he was no longer around, the people just took her and put her in that role.
Mhm.
And that is how she eventually becomes the president of the
Mhm.
Philippines. Now, pretty much what happens is that Marcos is like, well, she's just a woman and nobody cares about her or wants her to be president. Let's do a snap election right now. I'll prove to all of you that this is really what the people want, is that they want me in power. And he held a snap election and he tried to rig it.
Uh-huh.
And a bunch of poll workers walked out. There was
Okay.
huge protests because the truth is that they wanted her as the president. And so
Mhm.
eventually she tells Marcos to leave. He flees to Hawaii. He seeks exile in Hawaii.
Hmm.
And she is sworn in as president of the Philippines.
Underestimate a woman.
Yeah.
Huh. We're back on Girl Boss again.
They just I love that it wasn't an identity politics thing at all. It was just her closeness to her husband just so happened. People were like, well, she's obviously the next best choice then. I don't
Yeah.
know. It's really interesting how she just became this symbol of democracy and peace. Those were the two big important ones because
Mhm.
Marcos was very violent and lots of violence happened because of him, but she was a very peaceful person and advocated for peaceful protest.
Mhm.
And so it's this combination of upholding democracy and peace that really allowed them to make her the candidate.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about like fate, but it's so and she does have some like just interesting signatures around like inheritance, like and her role as wife as being lucrative to
Oh,
her.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but
That's what I feel
how
for
she's
sure.
like, but then she's really beholden to other people's decisions.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
and she does seem like very, from what I could tell, she took the presidency with a lot of grace, even though
Mhm.
that was not something she was necessarily wanting to do or interested
Mhm.
in. She was very graceful. She really cared about the Filipino people and wanted democracy to thrive there.
Okay.
You know, anybody after a dictator is great for the most part. You know what I mean? Like she didn't have political experience. She is an oligarch. She's Catholic. You know,
Yeah.
she's not
She's a
exactly
Republican.
she's a Republican. She's
Yeah.
not exactly the opposite of Marcos. She's
Yeah.
just not a tyrant
And not a communist.
and not a
Yeah, so it was
communist.
like safe.
Definitely
Yeah.
safe. Yep.
Hmm.
And she ends up getting backing from the United States, of course, because it's
Okay.
in their best interest for the Philippines to stay a democracy and to have somebody like
Mm.
this, a capitalist in power,
Okay.
right?
Yeah, right in the sweet spot.
Yep.
Not too tyrannical, but not for the people either.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, I'm just going to talk very briefly about her presidency.
mhm.
During her time, I mean, she, much like Queen Elizabeth, inherited a country that was severely in debt from the
Yeah,
men before her, just being spending and spending and spending and spending. And so
because
she,
bitches be shopping.
bitch,
By bitches, we mean kings and
kings,
dictators.
yeah, kings be shopping. They
Kings
love to
be
spend
shopping.
money on
Yeah.
shit and they love to have parties. And
Yeah.
so she was very frugal. She insisted, probably her most controversial thing, and she's a capitalist, right? Her most controversial thing was that she said, "I'm going to honor all of these debts, and I'm gonna try my best to pay off all of these debts," even though
Mm.
the Filipino people saw no benefit from them whatsoever.
Feels good to say it though.
Right? Like, "Oh,
Yeah.
yes, we are going to honor these debts." It feels
I
very
have
righteous.
integrity.
I have
Yeah.
integrity. Yes, yes. So
Hmm.
that was her vibe. She got a lot of criticism for that.
Okay.
She gave a very famous speech in front of the United States Congress, and she explained her whole story, and it's very symbolic and about, how the United States is all about democracy and now the Philippines can be about democracy and
See,
all this stuff. And then
yeah.
she's like, "Also, by the way, if you guys could give us some money to help us with this debt, that would be great."
Where the debt's like to her family's business. She's just funneling tax dollars
I
to
know.
pay her families and their friends back. Probably.
Problem. I
Yeah.
mean, it was an oligarchy, so she fired all of the people in politics when she took power,
Hmm.
but it doesn't matter. Like all these businesses potentially are still getting contracted by the government. They
Hmm.
still have to be paid off. They were all it was crony capitalism, right?
Crony
And
capitalism.
so that's just Marcos feeding his friends money
Yeah.
however possible.
Yeah.
And she also had to honor these debts, even though, again, like I said, the Filipino people never saw any
Yeah.
benefit from it whatsoever.
Yeah, that's so interesting. Yeah, I can't help but continue to make parallels with like where we're at today. So this concept of a
Yeah.
national debt is always like looming over our head, but it's I don't know what it I don't know. It's like boy astrology.
It
So
is what it's up money,
like
crypto and money and
yeah,
all.
exactly. The debt's gonna do what for me? Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
And who okay, once again, the United States are being very opportunistic, right? So they're
Hmm.
like, "Sure, we'll give you a few $1,000,000 or
Yeah.
$1,000,000," or whatever it is, just so that we're your ally now, right? Like we helped bail you out.
Hmm.
That's it. That's not they're not helping them financially. They're making an investment,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
Whatever.
I mean, Filipino workers are such a significant part of our economy
Exactly.
today.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
in many industries.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
Anyway, she was able to help boost the economy steadily in her time.
Okay.
Nothing crazy, but she's able to reduce the debt by about 20% or
Okay.
so. So it's pretty good and in her time. Land reform was another big part of her campaign, and this is another place where she had a lot of criticisms. Farmers in the Philippines were having a lot of revolutionary ideas. They were revolting against the fact that they weren't owning the land that they were farming. They
Mm.
wanted to own the land. And there was a big kind of massacre actually and protests where people died, and that's when she made the decision to do a land reform act. And it made it so that you people were prohibited from owning more than 5 hectares of land.
Hmm.
But remember, our girl comes from a very wealthy landowning family. And
Yeah.
so she had an estate that was 6,453 hectares
Uh-huh.
that was not given up and
Okay.
divided. It was turned into a corporation, and then the people who worked it were allowed to buy stock in the company.
Hmm. Hmm.
So there we go. There were a lot of coup attempts during her time and some violent protests as well. But Corazon, one thing about her is that she never lost her cool. That's what
Yeah.
I'll give her. She really
Yeah.
held it together. She was able to defend democracy that she had rightfully earned, I suppose. And at the end of her terms, she handed over her presidency very peacefully. It was 1992. She said, "I'm done. I'm handing it over because I believe in democracy." And that was, the end of her political career. She still was involved in politics, kind of, but not in a significant way. She would give her opinions about
Hmm.
certain candidates or speak out against people that she thought might be a threat to democracy. She gave many speeches around the world. She was
Hmm.
seen as a very iconic figure. It's a symbol of something.
Hmm.
She was Times Woman of the Year. She was on the front of Time magazine. She was also nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize. And she died at the age of 76 from colon cancer.
Hmm. Repression.
She was, oh, She was a very beloved figure and was very highly regarded around the world for her role.
Yeah. Hmm. Interesting.
That's all I have to say about that. Please take it away.
Okay. Oh, where should we begin with this one? Well, let's first talk about her sun in Aquarius because we have an expert
Yes.
here. Yeah, it's in her fifth house. And I guess like just talking about the Aquarius archetype because we haven't talked much about it. What do we know about Aquarii? They're weird.
I'm scared.
They're scared.
We're humanitarians,
Yes.
so we don't often fit in with groups of people always because we're looking at like a bigger picture, I'd say, so we can be somewhat isolated. Does that sound right?
Yeah, it's this weird little like isolated weirdos of service to us all.
Yeah.
Which when I looked it up, so like an Aquarius, so I want to talk about it too, because to set the record straight, Aquarius is not a water sign, it's an air sign. It involves water, and that's its little symbol, but it's the water bearer.
Right.
And that's after Ganymede, which was a beautiful, in Greek myth, just a beautiful boy, so beautiful that Zeus essentially human trafficked him to work for the gods and like bring them their ambrosia.
Okay.
Yeah. And so it like has that like alienation piece, but also this chosenness. Talk about a pick me. Actually, most Aquariuses are not pick me's,
I would
but
say
they
no.
want to be of service.
Yeah.
And like it's actually so like in her story, right? It's like you're kind of forced into this role, but you do it.
Yeah.
And the thing that makes you weird also makes you great at what you do, you know? We all need Aquariuses in our lives.
Remember the handfish?
Remember the handfish. But maybe that's why, like, yeah, she kind of like was, because she was, I mean, again, like innovative and this a female president, right? This like radical person.
Yeah.
But she also like, and yeah, but she really was of service. So
Yeah.
yeah, she really embodies that so much.
I would say, yeah, she definitely was of service because she didn't really want to be president,
Yeah.
but she stepped up and did it.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I mean, yeah, she did have a lot of unpopular things that she did. They were, yeah. During this time, there's an interesting Uranus, which rules Aquarius,
Mhm.
Neptune conjunction. So that is like when you put those archetypes together, it is like very visionary and futuristic.
Right.
But maybe not to be trusted because that Neptune there like skews everything a bit.
Right.
Maybe too idealistic.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's some incongruency, and I'm curious, like, where this comes in. If you don't have an answer, you don't have an answer, right? But it's like, how can you be a humanitarian and also want to hold on to your privilege and the things that have worked for you?
Yes. I mean, and that's where I think we see the hypocrisy.
Yeah.
Um, and I mean, I guess, yeah, I guess I want to give it an astrological answer. I mean, we have a lot of different placements in our chart because we're
Yeah.
never just one thing. Like, that's where we talk about like aspects. It's like, oh, this sign is also like making this like awkward kind of angle with that Virgo part of her chart. That's the part that is probably more conservative. We got a
Mhm.
Capricorn moon there
Yes.
that's like business, right? And so
Yes.
that's also like when things are kind of just different, right? They're right next to each other. So they're like not the same and there's not enough space. It's like if you've had like a close sibling, you're like not far enough apart in age or
Oh,
yeah, like just
a little friction, you
a little
mean?
friction, that's the
Yeah.
word. Yeah. Yeah, she just has like an interest. We've like talked about other people who have like a lot of trines in their charts and she has a lot of like inconjuncts and
In conjuncts. I haven't
yeah.
heard that for astrology yet.
Yeah, I mean it's not like a major aspect, so we don't
Okay.
talk about them very often, but it's something I'm like paying more attention to because how much is it again?
That's what you're zoning in on with astrology right now. It's one of the things.
What
In
inconjunct?
conjuncts?
Yeah, so it's 150. So
Oh.
degrees, right? Like, so like the constant need for adjustment. We like to
Mm.
talk about trines 120 and oppositions 180.
That
and
makes sense.
squares 90, right? And I don't know if that's just because it's
Right.
like, but those are more felt,
Mm.
where this is like always like a negotiation of things.
Oh,
Because they're
okay.
not really, because when you have those nice things, there's usually an alignment to the signs that they all are air signs, right? Trines have that quality. Where
Um,
these, they're like different energies, and yeah, even if
yes.
they're not only different signs, they're different types of signs. So
Oh,
yeah. So in
okay.
some ways she was like pulled in a few different weird directions.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, hmm. And again, like, I think so with everything being in the 12th house, it's like we look at someone's Mars placement for like how they move through this world,
Mm.
and that is a real stuck energy. And I'm like, God, she spent so much time waiting for a husband. Like she spent time in exile, very big 12th house theme, and then a lot of like loss, significant
Yeah.
loss.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think another reason why she, let's see, like I think why she was so successful in her role is we always look at someone's midheaven, like that's kind of what their public face is going to be, what's going to kind of guide their career.
Mm.
And she was their Cancer was there. And
Mm.
it's that's something, we'll talk about this with someone else coming up soon too, but I'm actually, so when we think of Capricorn as the leadership signs,
Yeah.
we have a lot of Cancer people where you're like, oh,
Yeah.
she was the mother of this nation. I do
Yes.
think her maternalness was what worked for all these other things happening. It's like,
Got you.
like
The mother of
abuela. Yeah,
democracy.
exactly.
Yeah.
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 We
So
love that. We love a mother figure.
yeah, and so she has Pluto in Cancer, as
Okay.
all baby boomers do. That's that
Um,
generational planet.
right.
And Pluto is usually like your past life struggles and how they manifest in your karma in this life, which, so that's a wound around Cancer, the home,
Right.
the family. And I
Right.
was thinking like what we see in baby boomers is, right, they're obsessed with family. They're obsessed with like nationality, homeland, right? These are post World War II babies.
Yeah.
Patriotism, nationalism is huge at this time. I was thinking like, right, and so like our age group, we're Pluto and Scorpios,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a housing crisis and we don't care because we're too busy talking about like sex and gender and death. If boomers were our peers, there would be revolution right now. Like they need their homes. We're all renters. We don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
there's just like, I think so that like um that sort of generational planet being so prominent is also probably why she was so relatable as a figure.
Yeah.
She had that energetic alignment with the moments.
The moment.
Yeah.
It's so true. It's like so different now. But it
Yeah.
was such a vibe. And you watch something like you watch her speech to the US Congress, and it's just like you can feel the weird nationalism.
Yes. And we're move there's things are in crisis, right? Because now we're in Pluto and Aquarius.
Right.
W- what are we gonna do with that? Like everything's weird.
Yeah.
We are moving into the like sublime.
I've
Like
never understood like British comedy so much because I'm just, oh, everything is absurd.
yeah, it's very absurd. I guess I meant to say that too. Like, so Aquarius mediates between the earth and the heavens, right?
Right. Yeah.
And so yeah, we're getting more cosmic and weird. And right, Cancer's ruled by the moon. It's so, again, like grounded and lunar and
Mhm.
familiar. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's like what we know and we want to keep. Um,
It's like the belly and the heart.
it
It feels
is.
like
It
this
actually,
area.
Cancers have a lot of tummy problems
Yeah,
usually.
yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense. And they like Aquarius is so like almost like a balloon above the head.
Yes.
There's something expanded and it could use a little help grounding back down maybe, but
Yes, I'm looking at what body part ruled by Aquarius.
it's joints,
Okay.
right?
Yes, that's right. Bring things
Connections.
together.
Yeah.
I love how that happens. That's so interesting. So another kind of thing we look at is like, in an individual chart, we look at their Pluto polarity point, the PPP. This is an evolutionary astrology, right? So it's
Down
like,
PPP.
yeah, you know me. That's always what goes in my head. Air sign problems.
There's my problem.
And yeah, so like the kind of like evolutionary resolution is opposite of this, right?
Okay.
So she's having this Pluto in this like 10th house, right? In Cancer. So its opposite is going to be right, it's an imaginary point, but she happens to have a lot of planets there,
Mm.
like her moon. So her moon opposite Pluto, and that's in the 4th house, the house of home, and family in Capricorn. And again, I feel like that's like, that it's how she was able to blend the like public and private in this like sophisticated way.
Right.
And also why family is so public.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, she wasn't going to live in obscurity.
No, yeah, clearly not. I feel like she
Yeah.
tried. She was like, "I'll just be a housewife. I'm fine with that."
I want to get a little technical. Because when we're like looking at charts, one of the things, we've talked about a lot is like, um, like the planet and the house it's in and the sign it's in. But I want to introduce this concept of dispositors. And I
Dispositors.
guess not to get too technical, it's just kind of the planet behind the planet.
Like if they're aligned or
No, just
not physically,
conceptually.
conceptually.
Because
Okay.
every sign has a planetary ruler,
Right.
right? Like Cancer is the moon, Sagittarius is Jupiter.
Aquarius is Uranus.
Yes,
Or
exactly.
Uranus.
Yes. It's so Aquarius. Um,
We'll wait. The FedEx guy. His
okay.
truck is loud. Listen, we're just two girls in a garage.
Two girls in a garage. Our follow-up podcast.
Uh,
We just
yeah.
shit on female leaders who sold us out.
We tried. We
Yeah.
wanted to champion her.
Yeah.
Wanted.
Yes. So one of the things is like, yeah, I was like, wow, this lady had an interesting love life. What's going on in her 7th house?
Okay.
Right. And so we'll see, is where she has Uranus
Okay.
in the sign of Aries.
Okay.
Right. So you're like, wow, something's going to be kind of crazy about her relationships.
Oh.
Something sudden might happen, or there might be some unpredictability or instability, especially in this sign of Aries, which is like the opposite of the 7th house, right? The Aries is all about the self. So there's like, again, some squirrely energies there. And to better understand it, we would look at the dispositor. So we'd be like, okay, well, then Aries is ruled by Mars. So where's Mars in her chart? And so we see that Mars
Right.
is again that Virgo in 12th house. So we're like, oh, there's going to be some like dramatic endings or some loss or some isolation, incarceration. Like it's
Yeah.
kind of a doomed kind of placement.
Mhm.
And and I guess looking at her synastry chart with her husband is, I mean, they were born only a year apart, so they have a lot of similar planets. But it's so interesting. I was telling Gwen about this, that the Uranus is also exactly conjunct, so in the same degrees.
Wow.
And hers is in retrograde, right? So retrograde is the illusion that planets move back.
Right.
Like they look like they're moving backwards, and we kind of chart them that way. So it's like there's like this kind of like reunion these kind of energies had to have, that they
Right.
share this kind of squirrely placement. For him, it's Uranus is in his 9th house, which is more about like higher education and ideals. It makes sense that he was a radical, idealistic person.
Yeah.
Yeah. That he suffered for.
Yeah. He was happy to suffer for her.
He was happy to suffer for, and like she probably wasn't, not like, yeah, and that became part of her relationship. So she didn't get to choose that life. That life chose her.
Yeah, I don't think so.
But that's, I guess, yeah, being in love with an activist. Or
Do you want to hear a little bit of drama?
yes, I'm a Libra.
Obviously.
Yeah.
This is one interesting thing, is that her husband Ninoy had actually dated Marcos's wife.
Ha! Another alternate timeline.
Yes.
But it shoulda.
So they had dated, maybe this whole political angst and like fight.
Oh my God, Marcus's wife was like, I need shoes. So whatever democratic thing you're trying to do here, Marcos is going to treat me way better.
And he was like,
Yeah. I bet you she has some Taurus placements.
Yeah, she was. I don't.
Which
I
are
don't really.
realistic. No offense, Tauruses.
No,
But
yeah. I mean, it happens.
yeah,
She's still alive, so we can't talk about her.
that's true, right? So we don't want any
I
consequences.
think she is.
Yeah, and then so her and her
Yeah.
husband, like, they're really going towards like a spiritual evolution, a dilution of self,
Mm.
in some ways, like towards the collective, or again, like kind of being kind of asked to disrupt this more controlled egoic fantasy
Yeah.
that some people get in their lifetime, but there's like, no, it's not going to go how you want it to go.
Mm-hmm.
um and yeah, just like looking at compatibility, her Venus is in Capricorn, his is in Scorpio. Like,
Ooh,
yeah, she's just
that's a good
a practical
energy.
gal.
Yeah.
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 And like her again, her Venus has many more aspects to that Uranus placement and those 12th house placements. So it just becomes like kind of a big part of her journey. This like loss.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or yeah. So
It really is like a self-sacrifice because she could have just gone on with her life and found another husband or
it's
done
true.
whatever.
Yeah.
But there's something in her that was like, I'm going to carry on this legacy and I'm going to do this for the Filipino people.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. I don't know. Like, yeah, we might ask ourselves like how a Taurus would handle that versus an
yeah,
Aquarius, or right? Like think about different signs.
right,
Yeah, like Aquarius, even though politically she's not for the people, but it is like for the humans, the humanity.
right.
Yeah.
It's more symbolic than anything else, unfortunately,
Hmm.
right? But
But
she
she
did
she
do
did
it.
it. She did those
Yeah,
talks. Like she worked.
she worked. Yeah,
She worked.
yeah. I hope that we're in a place politically, and I think we are, because we've looked at somebody like Trump, who's in office now, and then the Democrats gave us Kamala as a running a candidate as
Mhm.
in opposition, and I think the Democrats were like, at least it's not Trump. Like that was like the
Yeah.
campaign that they were trying to sell us on, not Trump. But I think we're at a point, maybe it's Pluto and Aquarius or
Mhm.
something going on where we're like, "No, that's not enough." Like, I
Mhm.
don't know if she would have been enough for us in America nowadays, right? Because she's still from a rich family and upholding these systems that are
Mhm.
not always helping everybody.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
I guess I did want to talk about fate because there's so much of her
Yeah.
chart that seems fated, and then like on a macro level, like do we ever like do we get to vote politically or even cosmically? Like do we actually have any agency at all? Maybe not.
Maybe not.
'Cause yeah, like that's the thing, like it just in the theme of that like staged war, it's like, yeah, she looks very different, but yeah, the power didn't really change hands
Ex
too much.
exactly.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and we might think of life that way.
The theater.
The theater of the cosmos.
No, Mom, I'm a thespian.
Yeah. And I was talking about this with Gwen earlier, like Uranus that rules Aquarius. Gaia gave birth to the sky, and the sky daddy is mean.
Yeah.
So, is there something about the ancients that just knew that there was this unfair, chaotic, brutal aspect of our existence that's just there? We have Earth that gives us so much, and then this shitty other thing.
Yeah.
Um,
That takes and takes and
that
takes.
takes yeah, exactly.
Insatiable.
Yeah, Uranus ended up, like, killing and incarcerating his children. His son eventually cut off his balls and kind of neutralized him, and then Venus comes from those balls. And but
The
when you think of
stories.
the mythos of these stories, it's like, yes, I guess there's beauty that comes from this ugliness, and this is just, like, these kind of complexes of Earth School,
Yeah.
um, that suck.
So that was fun.
Yeah.
Anything else?
It's a full moon today.
Yeah.
The energies are intense.
We're on the struggle bus. But
Yeah. Next up, we're
Or-
gonna have a blast.
we're doing a fun. We needed a fun one after that, folks. We need to lighten up, lighten the mood.
It's true. Yeah, political figures have proven to be sad.
A little sad and intense.
I think part of like an Aquarian energy is like we just don't get to have heroes
Yeah.
because no one's gonna come and save us.
Oh my god.
Yeah, we have to do the work.
We have to do the work.
Yeah.
And you know who was doing the work? Steve Irwin.
Steve Irwin.
That's what we're talking about next. And we're really excited. We need his energy to come cleanse the space.
Also a lot of Aquarius placements. I don't know. This guy, so I don't really know anything about him, but from his chart, yikes. Crikey. Some might say, actually.
Yeah, exactly.
So that should be fun.
That'll be fun.
R.I.P. Yeah.
R.I.P. Well, thanks. Sorry for this downer episode, but we hope you learned something new. I learned a lot. And let's not get wrapped up into identity politics or anything like that. Let's learn and be wiser and move forward with a better vision for the future.
Yes, indeed.
All right, thanks.